Hey YouTube, this is going to be my first video on this channel. So it's going to be replacing these valve covers and gaskets on both sides of my 1987 IROC-Z Camaro. So I already took the driver's side off just so that I know exactly what I'm expecting for everything, so I can explain it through this video. Tools you're going to need. I have AC, by the way, so I'm really sorry for all of you guys with AC because it really sucks. Alright, so tools you're going to need. You need a 15mm socket. I had it on a big one on a 1-inch drive or whatever it is, until I found out that it's too big. Like the actual wrench itself is too big to fit back there where we need it. So I put a 15mm on this one too, so I can get those hard to reach spots. We're gonna need a 3/8 inch socket. You're gonna need 19mm wrench and a 16mm wrench. If you're carbureted, that's it. So it's a mission taking this thing out. So what you're gonna want to do first, get your 16 and 19mm wrenches. Your 19 is gonna hold this nut steady while your 16 unscrews this, and it's standard thread, so righty tighty lefty loosey. This is going to pop out, as well as this line. This is a vacuum line, don't worry. It goes to your brake booster, and then you're going to want to disconnect. Actually, it's easier if you disconnect this lower hose. They're not held in with any clamps, it's just friction. So I don't know if I'm gonna pause it. I'll get it with both hands real quick. All right, I just got it with both hands. You're gonna slide this up out of the way. It just swivels, so you don't have to worry about it. This, you're gonna wanna move however you want. It's just gonna slide in through there. Sadly, you can't take it out. If it were out, it would be so much easier. And I think something like that helps me out. Maybe, never tried sliding it behind here. Maybe that'll help. Nah, you can't get it through that cable. Sorry if the video's dark, actually, I just realized that. Then this piece slides right out. It's going to be difficult to get that out. I just had it set up for this video. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to slide this underneath this bracket and out through here. So I'm going to do that real quick, just like so. Now, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your wrench, or if you have a removing tool for these, it would be a lot easier, and you remove this from this. I don't know what hose this is. You're going to slide this hose down under this bracket out through here, because you have a little hole there. Slide it through there just as such. And I think that's it for the hoses. As far as your AC compressor, you're going to want to unscrew this bolt. Actually, I have these bolts right here. I forget what they are. I think they're the 15mm, right? Yeah, they're 15mm. As much as I hate the metric system on an American muscle car, that's what they are, sadly. So you're going to unscrew a bolt right here, a bolt right back here, a bolt right here, and you're going to want to loosen this bolt down here, because that's the bolt it swivels on. And for that one, it's the fit down there is too tight for that big one, so you're going to want to grab your small socket. It'll fit back there, and you just loosen that bolt just like that. Now, once all these are loosened, you're going to want to push your AC compressor all the way forward so that you can get the this line, or this belt off. Then you're going to slide the AC compressor all the way back so that the valve cover can clear this piece of metal right there. And what I found works best is since these 3 bolts are out, you can twist it a little bit. It's hard to see, but this metal piece comes in contact with this if you slide it back too far. But if you twist your AC compressor, you get a little bit more out of it, and you can actually wedge it in place here, so it's mostly out of the way. If I can get it. Well, I can't get it holding the camera, but Then, as far as your studs go, you're gonna have 4 studs with a washer between each. And I believe this stud right here is our 3/8, which, yeah, it is. And it's gonna be same standard threads, righty tighty, lefty loosey. You're going to loosen that all the way out, and it's going to be a long stud that comes out. Same with these. These are actually Allen keys, but they spin with this plastic piece, so I didn't have to worry about it. I don't know the sizing, but if you just have an Allen key set, you could probably figure it out. It's probably not too hard if these plastic pieces slip. So I'm gonna pull these 4 studs out, and I'll be right back. All right, got the studs out. I also take the oil cap off too, just because it's a good point to get your finger in and you can pull from it. Now, something else that's super important, not important, but something that's helpful, is like a little diagram to show where everything went. So I just kind of drew a quick little engine, made it really hard to mess up the sides. So as you can see, you have the little stud. Well, I don't know if it's actually a size difference, but you have the normal stud and then these plastic capped studs, whatever they are. Now, here comes the tricky part. Something you're going to want to know is behind here, my camera, actually it can pick it up. Here, you can barely see it in the camera. You see a little, like, stud thing back there. That's to help align this valve cover into place. So getting this valve cover out, if it's your first time taking it out, it's going to stick to the gasket, which actually it stuck to the gasket again a little bit. You're going to see that it barely wants to come out. Now, I can't help too much with this because it's going to be so different for everybody, but you just kind of have to work it and feel it until it comes out. What I found works best is lifting it up over that stud and sliding it towards the firewall, and then the front end can lift up and out over the AC compressor, but it just takes a lot of like guesswork kind of to finagle it out. But once you have everything out of the way, it should be pretty easy relatively to get it out. Actually, that only took like a second. I just put the phone down, did it first try. So you just kind of wiggle the thing out of here and then try not to drag it on your rocker arms. Now, this gasket looks pretty good, but it was leaking on me a little bit. I'm assuming the gasket was what was leaking. As you can see, I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera, but there are a few rips and tears in the gasket. But now you have successfully removed a valve cover. Now, this is probably my 3rd time removing this valve cover just for this video, so it went by super quick, but my first time just sucked. I'm gonna set it down upside down like this. It's not gonna matter too much because I'm gonna sand it down the outside and repaint it, but because right now it actually doesn't look that bad while it's out of the car, but when it's in the car it does look pretty rough. So that's it for the driver's side. I'm gonna cut over to the passenger side now, but yeah, I'll see you guys there. All right, I am back. That was not a fun job by any stretch of the imagination. So basically, so in the first part for the driver's side, your number 1 spark plug has to come off. For passenger side, your number 2 spark plug has to come off. Spark plug wire, not the spark plug. Don't take the plug out. That wouldn't help you in any way. All right, so let's do the rundown of everything I've done. So I undid this, which is like an air cooler for my carburetor, which is sitting right here. I got extremely lucky that I had a stand ready to accept it. What else did I do? You have to take the whole carburetor off. You have to unplug you don't have to unplug the EGR thing, but you have to take the EGR valve off, which is, where's my EGR valve? Here is our EGR valve. Mine is broken. Probably gonna buy a new one at some point. Replacing the valve itself isn't that much work. It only goes, you can kind of see it, it goes right there. All right, alternator has to come off. That's not too bad. It's 2 bolts and 2 plugs. You have this wire here and that wire there go to the alternator. One of the worst parts was you have to take a whole wiring harness out. All these little plugs, 4 of these plugs I think all 4 of the carburetor plugs are on here. This plug here comes from right there. What about this plug? This plug here comes from there. What else do we have here? We have this is the carburetor plug on the yellow thing right there, that yellow plug that you see. That's where this 3-prong piece plugs in. What about this? I think I went over that one. You have a ground actually, and that ground goes, where over here did that ground go? Actually, I put the bolt back in it. The ground goes right there underneath the washer. The washer goes above the ground, above the thing. I broke this plug, which I'm gonna need to fix at some point. I forget where it plugs in at, but like all of these plugs are in this general area of the car. So you need to unplug all of those, and I have a bungee cord holding this whole wiring harness out of the way after everything's unplugged. This this whole emissions stuff has 1 bolt, the stud for the alternator goes through a little clip there, and then the other bolt goes to the exhaust manifold down there. Actually, I found out that if my camera will focus on it, move that out of the way, found out that I snapped that stud taking it out, so that's going to be a fun one when I ever get to it, if I ever feel like getting to it. So carburetor comes off, EGR valve, alternator, this thing gets unbolted. All these hoses I disconnected to make stuff easier. Oh, one of the worst things ever is this hose right back there. You see it right there? That thing goes way in the way, and it plugs in to, oh, sorry, my hand's in the way. This rubber hose there that I unplugged, and that rubber hose goes right into here. So you can follow this hose down, it plugs into there. But that pipe doesn't, when that pipe is in its stock form, it doesn't let this it doesn't let the valve cover come off of the rocker arms. So I took a Phillips head screwdriver, I stuck it down in there, and I bent it up just a little bit, just enough to let the valve cover come off. Was there anything else that needs to be done? So there is this tiny little mount that gets in the way, and you have 1 bolt back there that needs to get loosened, at least, if not taken out. You have 1 bolt here. It goes directly into the top of the valve cover. Let's see if I can point out where it goes. So it should go up. Was it screwed into nothing? Maybe. Either way, it screws up into the, or I thought it screwed into the back of the valve cover. I just realized I set that valve cover straight down on the ground. I'll clean that later. I'm gonna paint it anyway, so I've got to clean it up. Why does that thing keep falling in the way? I do not want that touching any of my rocker arms. I hope I'm not missing anything, because there was so much that went into this simple thing. Actually, funny enough, there's the end of that clip to the thing I broke. All right, so I'll just show you the whole engine bay, and that's going to be the mess you guys are going to have to deal with. I don't know how long it took, actually. What time is it now? Wow. All right, so that took me a good couple hours just to get 1 valve cover off. If there's an easier way, or if you guys noticed something easier, then go for it. Also, another tip for carbureted guys, the fuel line has to come out, and if you don't open up the gas cap, gas can start flowing out. I guess it builds up pressure in there, or a vacuum. I don't know how it works out, but like, you know, when you open the gas cap and you hear the hiss, well, if you don't open the gas cap first, gas starts coming out of the gas line. Because that's what was happening to me, and I went open the gas cap, made the hiss, and then stopped coming out. Hope I'm not missing anything. I'm going to cover up the valve, the rocker arms. I'm going to sand, or I'm going to clean all the oil off the valve covers, sand them down, paint them red, replace these gaskets, and put everything back together. So that's going to be a fun one. Also, in this process, I broke 2 vacuum lines. And they were both hard plastic vacuum lines. So I broke this vacuum line, and I broke this vacuum line up there. That goes to the EGR solenoid, I guess this is. I don't even know. I guess that's the EGR solenoid. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to replace those soon. I think I might be able to put a rubber hose over it temporarily until I get, if they even make hard plastic hoses anymore. Yeah, so I guess that's taking them off. Maybe I'll include putting them back on. I'll just include them red, I guess. Hope you guys learned something from this video and how hard this is to do for no reason ever. Definitely getting rid of the smog stuff is in my agenda now after dealing with this. Alright. Also, just forgot the size of all the tools I used for this. As far as wrenches go, used a 7/8 wrench, 8/5. I think that's it for wrenches. I also used whatever these wrenches are called. My mind went blank. This is way harder than I was expecting. But the pipe right there is a thick pipe. So as far as sockets go, I have 9/16, I have 3/8, and over here we've got universal joint. I tried, didn't work for what I needed. 1/2 inch, 15 millimeter. There's going to be a few 1/2 inches here. Yep, another 1/2 inch, yet another 1/2 inch, 14 millimeter. We have over here, we have 9/16. You might see some repeat sizes. That's just an extension. We have 7 millimeter and 8 millimeter. So these are just, I'm pretty sure I used every one of those sockets for some part of this process. But yeah, I feel sorry if you have to do this too. Just expect a whole bunch of work that you wouldn't normally expect working on one of these cars. Like, I used to love working on this car, but this right here, this was a really sucky job. And plus, what made this worse is normally when I work on my car, I have enough time to bring it to my grandfather's shop, or not his shop, but his garage. But like right here, I'm just out in the street, right in my neighborhood. I got to work on my car out front. No climate control, nothing. But no, it's alright. So yeah, I guess if I continue this video, it's going to be me sanding and painting the valve covers. Alright, so it's a new day. This is the driver's side valve cover, and what you want to do to paint it is you're going to want to sand it, make sure all the rust is off, and this paint that's on it isn't super important to remove because paint will stick to paint if it's rough and accepting. But you're just going to sand this down until you see a good chunk of metal, like all around, which this needs a whole lot more sanding, but I already did the passenger side one and let it dry overnight, so I'll show you that in a second. But I figured I probably would have forgot if I didn't do it now. So I made a little paint booth out of milk crates and a box. And what I did is I set the valve cover up in the center of that box, I took this clear bin that still allows light through but would block debris like leaves and bugs and stuff from falling on it. And I'm just going to set this valve cover down right there. Actually, I'll move it out of the way so I don't even step on it. Alright, so here is passenger side valve cover, and it actually looks way better than I was expecting it to look. But see, you take this valve cover, set it there, and you paint it. And actually what you're going to need is these wire scrapers, like for a grill. They work really good at getting like flaky paint and everything bad off of the valve cover. The paint that I've been using is this caliper paint, and I chose it because it's high heat and red, like the most similar red to my car I could find. And I have tweezers in case a little bug lands on it, then I'm able to pick it off. Alright, so sorry about that. I forgot that the holding my phone the other way right now, so I didn't realize the camera was on the other side. Let's move all that to the side. So after you've done a coat of paint, you take your bin and you set it on top, just like that. And then you still get light through it. You get a breeze going through the side, but it blocks stuff from landing on it. So I'm gonna get the driver's side one done, and I'll see you there. So the other valve cover is sanded and painted. It's gonna take about an hour before it's dry. As you can see, oh, actually, something interesting I found out is I think that's gas, because since my fuel line was open and my gas cap was on the car, I'm pretty sure the evaporating gas in the gas tank built up enough pressure to make a slow drip overnight, and my paper towels that were over stuff were wet with gas, just damp, not like soaked. But here is passenger side valve cover, painted and on the engine, all covered up. I think everything's plugged back into place. And actually, my manifold stud that is broken is that one there, and it comes out when it shouldn't, but luckily the alternator holds this whole unit in place back there with the other bolt. It's all the same size stuff to put it back together, because you took it apart with the same tools. But here is red valve covers on a red Camaro, and I'll be back when the other one is in place. By the way, it took 4 hours, I think, to take this valve cover off. 3 or 4 hours to take it off, and it took almost exactly 2 to get it back on, and everything plugged into place, carburetor on, hoses routing, and the my vacuum lines and all my my plugs from the wiring harness and everything. Just putting everything back in place and the valve cover took 2 hours. But my EGR valve is bad, very bad, looks horrible underneath, so I got to replace that soon. Solenoid I might need to replace with it, I don't know. As far as the vacuum lines that I broke, I was able to fix them with rubber vacuum hose. And the rubber vacuum hose I used is this. I've had it laying around, but it's that vacuum hose right there. And I will get back when the other valve cover is on, so that you can see both valve covers red on the Camaro. Alright, so the driver's side isn't nearly as hard. It's only a few screws and bolts and random stuff. The AC is the hardest part on the driver's side, but it's honestly not that bad. The passenger side really does suck though. It takes a little while. Putting it all back together was fun. But this is how everything looks at the moment. The air cleaner is probably gonna make it look a little better, probably, because open carburetor, some people like the look. I don't know, it's cool looking. I'm gonna show it with the open air cleaner, and then you'll probably all know how to change the valve covers. And this is how it looks when everything's on it. I'm gonna record another video in the daytime just so that all the colors stand out better. But yeah, it's finally finished. Alright, so this is exactly 20 days later, a couple hundred miles later. This is how it looks. It still looks super nice, in my opinion. After the first like 2 days, some bad spots did appear, but nothing got worse. Like, it got slightly worse. Like 2 or so days after painting, you can see like down in that little crevice. And if I can get my phone to go right back to 1x zoom, I don't know if there's really any spots up here. Actually, there is one right here. Like those little spots right there. Like little stuff like that appeared 2 or 3 days after painting, but nothing got worse. And it's driven a couple hundred miles. I don't know exactly how much, at least 150. So yeah, caliper paint is actually really good for valve covers, and I think it makes it look really nice. Soon I want to replace my water pump just for the look of it, because it's rusty. I don't really mind spending, I don't know how much they cost. I think I could get some for like 30, but the one I'm gonna get I think is like 70-ish, which is a little steep. Oh wow, good thing so I replaced the choke on my carburetor. I don't know if you can really see it, but I did it properly. I put screws down in there too. But I had to take the carburetor off because the first person to do it used rivets, and I didn't want rivet shavings all inside my engine bay. But I forgot to reconnect my my throttle and cruise control. So I guess I'm gonna do that after I end this video. But yeah, I think if you guys want to paint your valve covers, it does really increase the look of the car. Like, people don't expect this to be a 305, which sounds stupid enough. Like, you come across some unknowledgeable people and they think it's like a sleeper, like 350 or something, which would be cool, and it would look exactly the same if I used the same heads. But because then the same valve covers would fit on a 350. All small blocks are the same size. But yeah, it does make it look like it's better than a 305, even though it is just a little 170 some horsepower 305. But I plan to change that soon. But yeah, hope you guys like this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next project I do.